Welcome to your Examination Assessment Training Module for Moody Health Center at Texas Chiropractic College. I'm Dr. Corey Mayon, the Director of Clinical Education, and I'll be leading your module. Today's module will cover what an examination assessment involves, some of the questions that are asked, and I'll show you an example of how to do this in your assessment portal. First, let's say you're ready to do an examination assessment. You'll access your assessment portal, you'll fill out the assessment intro page, and then select the exam type and regions. There are 4 data collection points or questions, and we'll go over those in a second. Remember, there's a notes section for you to make notes about the encounter while in the room. The 4 components are averaged together for students to check later to see if they meet or exceed their benchmark for their clinic. Remember to give feedback and document the verbal feedback on the feedback page. You've been given the handout that shows the rubric for the exam assessment. At the top are the individual questions. Each question starts with a title and a summary of the question in parentheses. On the right-hand side, it shows, under MC, the meta-competencies that are tied to each question. At the very bottom of the page is a description of each meta-competency. Please feel free to read this on your own time so that you can learn the meta-competencies that are being assessed with each question. This is an overview of the questions. Number 1 is checking the student's reasoning in their exam selection. Did the student pick the correct exam components? Next is their application. How did they perform the components of the exam, and did they do it correctly? Next is their communication skills. Did they speak and educate the patient throughout? Lastly is their conduct or their professionalism. Did they act appropriately throughout the exam? Once you've scored these components, then you'll move to the feedback page. Select the assessment, which is examination. Then document a short summary of the verbal feedback that you gave the intern in the encounter or after the encounter about what went well and things to work on. If clinical education review is required, you will assign it here and type out the specifics. Then, finish the assessment with your 4-letter verification code that only you and the clinic data manager know. Let's see what this looks like. You step foot into the room, and you access your assessment portal. Choose your name as the examiner, then choose the intern. Which clinic is the student in? And then type the patient chart number. Now we're going to select the case type. Are they alumni, case study, outpatient, outreach, staff, student, or other? In this case, we'll put other in training. We're doing an examination. Select examination and pick the next button. Now, at the top, we're going to pick all that apply. This is an initial exam, and they have cervical and lumbar complaints. Question number 1. The student chose case-appropriate examinations and/or screening tools to develop a problem list or diagnosis and a treatment plan for the chiropractic care. Did the student choose the correct examinations? You'll grade them on the Dreyfus model. Did the student apply those student-administered examination with proper psychomotor skills to establish the indications or contraindications for chiropractic care? Next, their communication. The student maintained appropriate verbal and nonverbal communication throughout the exam. Conduct and professionalism. Student acted professionally through appropriate bedside manner, hygiene and conduct, and considered ethnic, cultural, and socioeconomic needs. Okay, make any notes that you've noted in the room, and then click Finish Assessment. Remember at the top, we need to pick all things that apply. It does not have to be initial exam, it can be a focal exam, and it can be on multiple regions. Let's move to the feedback page. Let's click Examination, And let's type what went well in the room. Examination, order, and logic. Let's say that I told a student that their logic in their examination was good, but they were a little bit slow. So, improve on speed. No clinical education review is required, but if it were, you would fill out the individual components of this question, and then type in your verification code. Done. You've now finished an examination assessment. For any questions, please refer to your handout, the syllabi, or the clinic handbook. For any questions that can't be found there, please refer to the following. For clinical operations, ask your Director of Clinical Services. For educational concerns, you can ask me, the Director of Clinical Education, and for resources, please ask the Clinic Data Manager. Thank you so much for your attention.